Hello and welcome back to the 7 Days the World Ends With You podcast. I am one of your hosts, Eric Watkin, or you can call me Eric.
And I'm your co host, Joshua. We are on episode 9 of the podcast covering episode 10 of the anime. Let's get started on this probably pretty brief episode because this episode is mostly built up.
Yeah, I have little add because besides like a few key details, it's pretty much one-to-one with the game as well.
Yeah, there's really this episode is just summed up with one thing of just Neku and Beat trying to track down Hanekoma and where he is and like what's his reasoning behind everything, what's going on.
Okay, well, the first half, or at least until they get to Utagawa, is not that because it's still looking for Konishi for the same reason they've been looking for Konishi the whole time. Once they get to Utagawa, they finally get the final clue of like, okay, where's Hanekoma?
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of set up earlier as well, just because like Beat says it like practically right at the beginning. Like
That's right.
the composer has to be Cat and whatnot
Yeah.
in the pins. So
so let's start at the beginning. So right off the bat, small detail, but we see a truck moving that's promoting the red pins with Prince on it, or I always forget his name, his Japanese name. I always call him.
Yeah,
Prince.
I don't remember it either. Just calling him Prince is fine by me. He's a minor character, so
yeah. He really didn't have a hand in promoting the pins in the game. Besides week 1, day 6. Like, small detail, he isn't really promoting the pins in the game. They just wanted to put his face on it this time, so I was like, okay.
I mean, he is kind of a like, at least from what I understand, like a trendsetter. So I mean, him being an advertisement is not too unbelievable.
Yeah. No, he did advertisements in the game. It's just like the red pins them specifically, like his face was not attached to the red pins. The red pins were just there. So that's the main difference.
I see.
Yeah, like small detail. I don't care. I think it fits. Just wanted to point that out there that they've now attached Prince to promoting this thing.
Yeah.
Next, we see. We also talk about the pin that Korea gave Beat and Neku. They say it's an officer pin that allows them pretty much free reign of Shibuya, and they list the places they haven't been to check, and they list Cat Street, AMX, and Utagawa. And in the game, they don't call it an officer pin, and the only place that Beat really says it opens is Utagawa. That's why they go there first. So again, small detail. It's like, okay,
yeah.
The effect is the same, so I'm not just pointing that out.
Not like that pin does much though, with considering how the walls are in this episode.
Yeah. We also see the crowds. The crowds.
Uttering that one phrase. That's the name of the episode that I forget.
Yeah, it's what was it? To correct the countless wrongs of our day. No, gosh, I had it and then I lost it. It's the countless wrongs of our day. Gosh, why am I forgetting it? I'm gonna have to look this up now. To right the countless wrongs of our day. Here we go. We shine the light of true redemption, that this place may become as paradise. Oh, what a wonderful world such would be. So, for those of you who don't know, the Japanese name of this game is Wonderful World, or What a Wonderful World.
Kono Subarashi Sekai wo.
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yes. I don't speak Japanese like Josh does. You took one semester of it, now he's a...
I just read the titles in Japanese, so I know like all the anime titles in Japanese.
Yeah. So in the US, it was The World Ends With You. That comes from Hanekoma's philosophy enjoy every moment of what you got. The world is a few, so spread your horizons as far as you can make them. In Japan,
Oh
it's
wait, no,
a wonderful,
it's Subarashiki Kono Sekai. That's what it was. I messed up the order.
yeah, yeah. And so the Japanese gets "What a Wonderful World," which comes from this mantra to right the countless wrongs of our days. We shine the light of true redemption, that this place may become as paradise. Oh, what a wonderful world such would be.
Yep.
And I noticed something interesting in this scene. Neku actually admits to why he wears the headphones and says, "I wear the headphones because I want to shut people out."
Mm-hmm.
Other characters have talked about it, and I think Neku, like early on, says like he just doesn't want to hear people, so that's why he has them. But this was like an honest like moment of him saying like, "I just wanted to tune people out, but now I see that this is wrong."
Yeah, I mean, because we kind of got like a few hints at it like earlier on and whatnot.
Yeah. In the game, he doesn't really have this moment, and I've been talking about how like his personality has just seemed off to me this entire time, and I haven't liked what they've done with him. Um, I've not been able to verify it, but I have seen a couple of people like in forum posts, whatever, say that this actually is more honest to the Japanese portrayal of him in the game. Apparently, in the Japanese version, he's much more of just like a typical shut-in. Like he just
Yeah, that's kind of what I was figuring.
yeah. So I guess I was wrong. So
Well,
yeah,
I
he
mean,
is.
you're not necessarily wrong. It's just that what you know is different from what's normally shown to the Japanese audience and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's what people were saying is like, yeah, he's just like a typical shut-in character in the Japanese version, but they thought that that wouldn't translate well to a Western audience. We wouldn't understand because we don't have the same kind of culture that they do. So to
Mm-hmm.
show him being a social outcast instead of portraying him as like a shut-in, they made him more rude and abrasive. Um, and so I have not been able to verify that's actually true. That's just what I've seen in like some discussion posts, but yeah.
Yeah,
Not the Neku I know, but I guess that's the true Neku.
yeah.
Um,
Otherwise, what is it? We see like the destroyed walls, which is like for stuff a bit later.
well, we get
Um,
um,
and the
Beat
taboo
talking about the
noise.
pins. You're going
Oh, the
ahead.
pins.
Yeah, so Beat brings up the cat. Well, it might have been Neku that brought it up. I forget which one. I think in the game, Beat brings it up.
It, it was beat in the show, I'm pretty sure, but I mean, we just kind of brought it up, so that's why I was just kind of going over it.
Yeah, which that was pretty much how it was in the game. Although in the game, first off, the game version, Beat has a nickname for Honeycomb that I loved. We just kept calling him the King of Coffee. I was like, the King of Coffee, that's awesome. Um, but then also when Neku tells Beat that it can't be Cat because Cat is Honeycomb, and says like Josh told me, uh, Neku's like, "Are you sure you can trust Josh?" And Neku's just like, "Well, yeah, he was my partner. I trust my partners." Uh,
Yeah.
but I think this, I can't. I think they did it in the show too, but I think the game might have done a little bit more of just like, can we trust Joshua? I was like, because we actually haven't seen Honeycomb say or do anything that is Cat necessarily. So it's like, are we sure that Honeycomb is Cat? Are we sure that the composer is Cat, or is Honeycomb the composer, or like who's? I think it brings up this question now.
What question is that?
Like, was Joshua telling the truth about Honeycomb?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I assume so. I mean, Josh may lie about some things, but he's honest in other ways.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, of course, I know the answer. I've played the game several times. Played the DS version, iOS version, Switch version. I love this game, so I know the answer. But even playing it, you kind of have this question of like, is Cat and Honeycomb actually the same person? And if not, what is Honeycomb's role? What is Cat's role? Um, so I mean, like, do you think potentially that this Cat could be the composer, and it's not who we think Cat is? Because also he could have just been teasing Neku, because he knows that Neku
Ah,
said something dumb.
I I think Josh was telling the truth.
So you trust your partner.
Yes.
Okay. Um, and then going a little bit further into the episode, well, not a little bit further, they get to AMX, and there's a bunch of Reapers, and the Reapers once again are spouting the same saying that the crowds have. So we see that these red pins have effects on Reapers and normal people alike.
Yeah, I forget. Is this one where they run into Kariya and Uzuki, or
That's in Utagawa. This is just
okay,
general Reapers.
on their way there?
Yeah. So what is your thought with the red pins controlling everyone at this point?
I mean, we've kind of been in that situation for a few episodes at this point, so it's just kind of the norm for this week.
I lost my place completely. AMX, we just fought a bunch of Reapers that were being mind controlled. You gave your thoughts on what you think about the mind control. What is the goal? What is the purpose? Because all of them have this saying. What do you think that saying is? Why would whoever's behind this do this?
I mean, just kind of, I guess, to reiterate based off of previous stuff I've said, just I think it's just the composer like just doesn't like the way that Shibuya is run, and that's just like I guess just based off the line itself. I guess in a way, he like the composer finds Shibuya in a way. I don't know, just like not fitting in with society.
Okay. And you're still sure it's not Cat?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's not Hanekama.
Positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive because of the freaking letter that is in this
100%.
episode. Yeah.
We'll get to that later. Also, we get a little scene that's also in the game where Neku asks Beat, like, you're running at 100%. Do you ever just take it easy? And Beat talks about how, like, oh, before the UG, all I did was take things easy. I mentioned earlier that, like, they kind of combined Neku giving, like, a little pep talk of, like, yeah, you're an idiot, but keep being an idiot because I rely on you being one. That was in this scene here. Because Beat talks about how like his parents were expecting results that he could never deliver, and so he stopped trying, and his parents stopped caring about him because they're just like he's not delivering results. Who cares? But Rhyme was always there. Um, and then in the game, he goes one step further because he just talks about how he had this dream to be a skateboarder, and then dreams to be a skateboarder, and then now his dream is to bring everyone back. In the game, he's like, I lied about that. Ryan was beating herself up because she thought she had nothing to live for, and that was backwards. She had everything to live for, and I was the waste. But all I did was make her feel like I was worth dying for. Um, so like I'm just an idiot because I lost my chance to protect her. And that's when Neku comes in and says, "Yeah, you are an idiot. It takes an idiot to screw over the Reapers to help a player. So I rely on idiots like you. Don't become a deep thinker."
Yeah.
So I felt like this moment kind of lost its weight in the show.
I mean, it's just more that we kind of had that moment last episode and whatnot.
Yeah.
This episode is like really focused on like just setting up the final days.
Yeah. Days. Okay. Um, so then we get to Utagawa and we see the sigil and it's like smoking. Um, Again, small detail. In the game, it was like red and there was actual like burn marks on it. And in here, it was just like purple smoke and it still looked pretty much intact.
Mm-hmm.
But next thing we see is Neku use his phone camera to take a picture of the past, and we see
Don't we
Hanekoma
see
working
the
on it.
broken walls at this point as well?
Oh, right. As they're walking into Utagawa, I forgot about that. We finally see the broken walls, and they question like, "Who broke these walls? That's not supposed to happen."
Yeah,
That,
which is something for a bit later.
yeah, they're kind of alarmed by it, but they're like, "Well, we're still going in here." Like whatever it was, it broke at in the game. I don't know if they said it in the show. In the game, they see that whatever broke it going out of Utagawa. So like, well, whatever that was, it's not here now. So
Yeah, I mean, they didn't say that exactly like in the anime, but I mean, I think they just kind of like it's safe to assume that they figured out pretty quickly that the person wasn't in Utagawa at that
yeah,
point.
yeah. So yeah, I see the broken walls. Uh, it seems like we're
Because
brushing
that's
past
why,
this. Oh yeah,
because then we get into the Neku phone thing.
yeah,
No,
but
it's going fine. There's just like it's just a lot of buildup. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if it seems like we're brushing past stuff, like oh, this broken wall, and what the mystery is, it's because this episode reveals pretty much all the small mysteries that it sets up.
yeah, like it's pretty much revealed by the end who it
Yeah,
is. I mean, it's not
like
like
the
they showed it at the end of the previous episode either. So I mean,
yeah, that too. But like that's the thing is like anything small that this episode could have saved for reveal, like next episode, it didn't do. And so the only mysteries we have left are the overarching
are
mysteries we
the
already have.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much this episode is a very much shut and closed case, other than for the finale.
Yeah, it's like everything that we were already asking ourselves is still there, and everything that this episode brings up new to ask ourselves, we get the answer to. So it's like there's not much to add because we already know the answer to this.
Yeah. Though, before we move on, I'm curious, what do you think of the pacing for this episode?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
What did you think of it?
I mean, it felt slow, man.
Okay, that could be fair.
Like, I understand what like the buildup is needed and whatnot, but and it's probably just because a lot of it that is brought up in this episode, other than the Hanekoma stuff, is solved within this episode.
Yeah,
And not to mention, we, the audience, already know the answer. So it's basically like a whole bunch of time where we're doing nothing but waiting for Neku and B to reach the answer while getting a few tricklings of something new going on.
yeah. Um, but what you call it? So they take the picture and we see Hanekoma working on the sigil. Um, and this is where Neku gets resolved of like, okay, we're going to Cat Street and we are asking him what's going on here. And in the game, this is the first time we see Hanekoma and the only time we see Hanekoma with the sigil. So we don't know what he was doing there in the game. We don't learn what he does there in the game. So I'm like, why they added that scene where we see exactly what he was doing, I don't understand. I guess it's to clarify the game, but also that would have been a good reveal towards the end instead of how we're introduced to it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Like I don't know if it will play a part in the end or not, but
I mean, it definitely could have been something they save for later. It did not need to be the first introduction to Minamimoto's resurrection.
I don't
Like,
know.
like
I mean, I guess, but honestly, I think it's a good way to kind of introduce the concept of like, because they're trying to build up doubt with Hanekoma. Like they really are trying to build up doubt with Hanekoma. But I'm just not buying it for a second though.
So you're metagaming this. You're like, this is a Tetsuya Nomura game. If they're trying to sell it this hard, he's got an ace
It's
up his
clearly
sleeve.
not the yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're trying to sell it this hard, it's clearly not the answer. It's
Yeah, you're metagaming. You're not going along for the story. You're like, I know who made this game.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, other than that I took the weak thing at face value, but I mean,
that's true. That's true.
I don't know.
And you believe me on
I'm
the
pretty good
tweets.
in I'm pretty good at looking into things sometimes, but sometimes I'm just I don't know.
Well, no, that's what I've
Sometimes I
noticed.
just go along for the ride.
That's what I've noticed. We're like, you every time you made a prediction that was spot on, you're like, but they wouldn't do that. Like you talked yourself out of your prediction that was like spot on, and then you'd be like way off in the weeds on another one. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's right. It
I
was really
mean,
funny.
I don't know. My way of predicting things are weird.
Yeah, it was really funny because I was like, I kept asking you questions, and you had half of them right, half of them wrong, and the ones you were wrong on, you were confident on. The ones you were right, you're like, but they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Anyways, so
um,
continuing with the search for Honeycomb.
yeah, actually, I think we skipped one part, and that also has to do with Minamimoto being back. Um, Last episode, we saw Honeycomb resurrect Minamimoto. That was not in the game at all. Um, in this episode, before they get to Utagawa, we see a short scene with Minamimoto that is in the game, and it takes the place of Honeycomb actually resurrecting him, where he's like, I can't get used to his body, but it'll have to do. Like, this is how I will reach my desired solution. And then he goes off and
Mm-hmm.
does whatever. That was in the game. That was in place of Honeycomb's resurrection of him. We get the snapshot with the photo of Honeycomb, and then we're like, as a player, we really are like, what is he doing there? We don't know what he is doing. And here we know what he was up to. So that's why I think like that reveal ruins a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have motive, but we do know what he was doing. In the game, we didn't have motive or the what. He could have done anything.
Yeah.
Um, so, especially because in the game you can take 3 photos, and when you take the photos, um, a photo you take that takes place after Honeycomb was there has the sigil still in place. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, he was not directly there, based off how the game portrayed it. But,
Yeah.
anyways, as they're leaving, let's get on with this.
Mm-hmm.
We have Korea and Yuzuki possessed by the Opens fighting. This is
Yeah.
why I
And
mixed up.
go
What?
ahead. Sorry.
I was just talking about like I had mixed up in my head how they this week progressed because I thought that because I remembered this fight in Utagawa, but I forgot they were possessed. I thought it was Yuzuki one day, Korea one day, the two of them together as a third day of them challenging you. But I was wrong. You fight them both together on Korea's day when they're normal, and then you have to refight them the next day possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got mixed up in my head. Because I
I
remembered
see.
the Utagawa fight, I just forgot that they were possessed in it. You were saying?
Um, I forgot. I think I was just basically just going to kind of continue on to what you just basically said. So then
About
basically we get to the Karya and Uzuki thing, and then onto the cafe.
uh, yeah. What are your thoughts? Obviously, we saw that they kind of got possessed in the last episode or 2 episodes ago. I'm trying to remember.
It was Was it last episode? I
Yeah,
think it was
last
last episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they may come back.
Think
Like
they'll
now
come
that they
back?
aren't possessed anymore.
Um, yeah, in the game, they didn't remove the open. Well, they might have. They never actually specify whether they did or did not move opens. All we know is that they were unconscious by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Neku's like, should we erase them? Like, they're going to cause trouble for us. And Beat says, like, no, don't erase them because they're not evil. They're just messed up like everyone else is messed up. And Neku's like,
Mm-hmm.
are you sure they're going to cause trouble for us? And Beat says, if they cause trouble for us again, I will erase them myself. But let's leave them for now. Um, and Neku takes that deal.
Yeah. This one
so
they kind of figure it out during the battle, and
yeah.
But otherwise, then we get to the cafe where Neku again uses the camera function, and we get the letter in the badge from Hanekoma.
Yep. I'll let you take the lead on what your thoughts are before I explain this scene.
So we get the pin that allows us to get into the composer's area, which again I feel like just supports my theory that Hanekoma has something to do with the composer, but I don't think he is actually the composer, especially also with the way that he phrases that letter of like basically giving Neku and Beat like hints on what to do in order to get through this.
Yeah. Well, he gives clues on. Actually, I'll hold off on the clue thing.
Okay.
So, any more thoughts on the scene of like what? Why would he? So you think he has it because he just has some connection to the composer, not personally the composer?
Yeah.
Do you think he is trying to help Neku? Because obviously he knew that Neku had this camera function, but do you think that pin was actually left there for Neku himself, or?
I feel like it. I mean, well, it may have not been addressed to him in particular. Like, I feel like it was addressed to either him or B because, like,
Or
they're the
Minamimoto?
two. I don't think it would be Minamimoto.
Even though Hanekoma we see actually revived him, again,
Okay,
didn't see that in the game.
still, but I feel like the way that he says when he revives, like, Minamimoto is, like, part of some bigger plan that he's thinking of.
Okay.
Because you see, the man's playing 4D chess right now.
That is true. So, yeah. I guess I'll explain how it kind of went in the game. So, in the game, Beat just gets excited by the idea of a camera that takes pictures of the past and just spams it and then breaks it.
Really?
Yeah, and so you accidentally find the picture of Hanekoma hiding it.
It's on accident, really.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
Um, I love that so much. Beat, don't change.
Yeah.
And they get the key pin, and the way that they determine um, how the key pin works is actually through just process of elimination. And here they have like the logo on the envelope, and he's like, "I've seen that symbol before. That's the symbol on the wall to Shibuya River." In the
Mm-hmm.
game, they're literally like, "There's only one place we haven't been to yet, and that is the Shibuya River. We don't know what this key pin does, but we know what every other key pin does. This is the Shibuya
Yeah.
River one."
Yeah. I mean, process of elimination is always a good thing.
Yeah. I kind of like that way better, not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, but also, I mean, just Hanekoma's kind of direct in that letter and what everything does.
Well, that's the last thing that I have about this letter. In the original game, all it said was To survive Shibuya, there's one simple trick. Enjoy every moment with all that you've got, whether it's gloomy or whether it's bright.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it said. Everything about Konishi and the shadows. Konishi?
Konishi.
Isn't that one of the avatars before Aang?
I don't know.
Avatar Konishi? I think that's.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, don't ask me stuff about Avatar lore.
Wait, you never saw Avatar?
I've seen it, but it's been years since I've watched it.
Okay, that's fair. It's on Netflix. Go rewatch it. It's good.
Yeah, if I have the time when I'm not binging like 26 anime shows a season.
Fair enough. Yeah, so all that stuff about her and finding where she is, that wasn't in the game. Or it's in a different place, and we don't know where it comes from in the game. So I guess this explains where it comes from in the game. What do you do? Yeah. It's like, okay. They're just tipping the hand all over the place, but okay.
Yeah. But anyways, then we finally get the run-in between the revived Minamimoto and Neku, from which Minamimoto just basically freezes them, and we move to day 6.
Yeah, so a little bit about that fight. Again, they never expressly say Hanekoma specifically in that conversation in the game, but he's like, the composer, you know where he is, don't you? And they're like, we're not going to tell you where the composer is. Remember, they all think that it's Cat, and we don't know what Hanekoma has done with Minamimoto at all, except for the fact that he was at the sigil at some point. And so it's like a chase of like, where's the composer? I want to know. I've been looking for the composer. That's why I was at Wildcat. And here he's just like, yeah, I'm just looking for Hanekoma, the guy that was standing right next to me when I was resurrected.
Yeah, which is why, again, it's just more things that just point to me thinking that it's definitely not Hanekoma.
It's like, why would you do that? Also, there was some subtle foreshadowing during the beginning of the conversation before the fight started. I want you to take a guess on what that foreshadowing was.
What in particular?
I don't even know how to explain. Something to deal with Konishi.
What, her strategy?
Yeah.
I mean, what about it?
In Minamimoto's conversation before they fight, there was a subtle foreshadowing that wasn't in the game to what she's been doing.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that, so...
Okay.
If it was there, it was there. Yeah.
And then one more dumb thing. During the middle of the fight, for no reason, Minamimoto screams out his diet. Slabs of ham, celery and horseradish, tons of asparagus. There was no reason for him to shout that, he just does. The game fixed that with a single line. And that single line was Beat saying, "What does this man eat?" You couldn't have just it was no. I don't get it. It just didn't make sense. It was like a random. Why is he just listing off random food? Small detail, but like you really couldn't have Beat just say like, "This man is strong. What does he eat?"
Yeah. But yeah, and then basically we move on to day 6 where they head straight for the where the composer is, and basically it's just the "Are you ready?" speech, basically kind of like those RPGs, like, this is the last point before there's no turning back. Are you ready?
Yeah. And that's pretty much how it was in the game, of just like, he said that he rivals the composer. So if he was that powerful, how strong do you think the composer is? Like, are you
Yeah.
sure you're going to do this? And Beat's like, yep. Um,
Yep.
so this is where the show breaks me. I said last episode that at this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I played the game, so I know the gist of what the ending's going to look like. But the show's gone through so many twists and turns that like I don't know what I'm watching anymore. I'm along for the ride with you guys. Do you want to know how this episode broke me?
How?
This episode combined days 5 and day 6 all into day 5.
Oh.
Yes. I was saving that till the end for that reason.
So that's why the pacing felt really long for one day.
Yep. Because after Utagawa and the Fight of Korea, they start back at Shibuya and they're like, okay, let's regroup. The one place we've not been is Cat Street, and I want to talk to Hanekoma. Let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They go to Cat Street, plays out the way, and then after the fight with Minamimoto, cut to day 7, the final day.
Oh, I guess yeah, I don't know how this is gonna like play out unless like they split the final day into 2 days somehow.
Which, based off how I know the game, you could split into 2 episodes. You cannot split the final day into 2 days. But they're gonna try.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely seems like it.
So by the time we're recording this, the next episode's already out, but neither one of us have seen it. Sorry for being late. It's just how things worked out. It was a busy week. We had E3 and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen now because day 6 is now day 7.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was important that everything happened on day 7, and now the important stuff on day 7 is happening day 6. And we still don't know what Beat's penalty is. And I'm 99% sure that they just got rid of Beat's penalty.
I mean, you'll have to explain it to me later if it doesn't pop up, but we still have a chance. There are 2 episodes left, but if it doesn't, definitely do need an explanation on it.
Yeah, I'll explain. If it's not in this episode, this episode is called "The Hour of Reckoning."
Yeah, the next episode.
Yeah. So, if the Hour of Reckoning doesn't explain it, I'll say it in that episode. Episodes. Podcast talking about it. But I'm just like, I don't know what they're going to do anymore. I said this last episode that like they could do anything. I was not expecting this, but I said they've been playing with the game so much that like they could do anything, and I could be blindsided, and I could be in for the ride with you guys. Not sure what's going to happen.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm terrified.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get next episode out on time. But thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave any comments and feedback. And until next time.
I'm a broken man. Bye.